Albatross, New Burnt Island, we can see the whole archipelago of Santorini. Over there we see the island Thera. Thera is the island where we departed from, and this is where you stay. Thera. Then in this direction we see Therasia. Therasia is our third destination for today with the boat. And in this direction we can see two other islands here close by. The one that's further at the back, which is smaller, is the island called Aspronisi, which means the White Island. The White Island was named like that because it consists mainly of pumice stone, and pumice stone has a whitish color. Then in between the White Island and the New Burnt, we see another volcanic island, which is our second destination for today, and this is the island named Palea Kameni, Old Burnt. This is where the thermal springs are located. The bay of the thermal springs is the bay we can see across, where there is a small white chapel. Now, before the big prehistoric volcanic eruption, more than 3,600 of years ago, this landscape here looked totally differently. Firstly, I don't know whether you have noticed, but if we connect the ends of the White Island, Therasia and Thera, we have a circle. Can you imagine the circle? So, whatever is included in that circle, before the big prehistoric volcanic eruption, was covered by land. So, this whole area was covered by land up until Thera, Therasia and the White Island. The seawater was outside the circle. The island, which existed here in this area before that big eruption, was a big round island, and the name of it was Strongili. Strongili means the round one, and that island was named like that because it was roundly shaped. Nowadays, we can only see three parts of that island: Thera, Therasia, and the White Island. What happened to the rest of the island, to this whole part that's missing? Back in year 1654 BC, the second worst eruption ever recorded in human history took place here. The volcanic crater which erupted back then is nowadays located 2 kilometers beneath our feet, beneath New Burnt. So this means in the center of the circle, in the center of the caldera. Once it erupted, because of its eruption, the biggest part of Strongili Island detached from the other three parts, which we can still see nowadays, and sunk into the bottom of the sea. And this is the reason why many people correlate Santorini to the lost Atlantis. Many people think that the lost Atlantis lies at the bottom of the caldera because of the sinking of Strongili. Another consequence of that big eruption was that because this huge piece of land sunk into the bottom of the seawater arose into a gigantic tsunami, exactly like when you throw something into the water. That gigantic tsunami, which arose by the sinking of Strongili Island, was about 14 times bigger in comparison to the tsunami of Thailand, which happened in year 2004. This means about 210 meters. The altitude of this top here is 127 meters. So you need to imagine that the tsunami was almost twice as big. This gigantic tsunami traveled all the way to the south in this direction until it reached the biggest island of Greece, which is Crete. Exactly. Back in that time, at the northern coastline of Crete, there was a very advanced, very important prehistoric civilization, and the name of that civilization is the Minoic civilization. The capital of the Minoic civilization was a city called Knossos. In case you ever travel to Crete, you will see there are some archaeological excavations there in Knossos, very interesting to visit. This gigantic tsunami, which arose by the sinking of Strongili, destroyed everything in Knossos, and this led to the disappearance of the Minoans. This is the reason why we call the big prehistoric volcanic eruption of Santorini the Minoic eruption, because its consequences led to the distinguishment of the Minoans. And in order to understand the intensity of that eruption, because that eruption made this huge piece of land sunk into the bottom of the sea, so it must have been very intensive. The volcanic ashes, which were produced by the eruption, covered the atmosphere, and because they were very dense, the sun couldn't go through to reach Earth, and for this reason it was not only night for 2 days, but also winter for 2 years. This means that all these people who were far away enough to survive the eruption and the tsunami caused by the sinking, they were then devastated by the 2 years of winter because they couldn't grow any fruit or vegetable to eat, so they starved to death. Any questions? Very happy things we discussed. Okay, in case you don't have any other questions, I'm done with explaining. You can, what's the time?